For a moment, it seemed the empire would never recover. But what followed was one of the greatest comebacks in history. After decades of war, loss, and internal conflict, the Byzantine Empire stood on the edge of collapse. Its territory had shrunk, its enemies were closing in, and its future looked uncertain. For many, it seemed that the empire's time was over. But what followed was something few could have predicted. One of the greatest comebacks in medieval history was about to begin. By the 9th century, the Byzantine Empire had survived the chaos of the previous generations, but it was still rebuilding. Its borders were fragile, its authority had been tested, and its enemies remained powerful. To the north, new kingdoms were rising. To the east, old threats still lingered. Yet inside the empire, something was beginning to change. A new dynasty was taking power in Constantinople, and under its rule, Byzantium would begin to grow stronger again. What followed would transform the empire into one of the most powerful states in the medieval world. The 9th century marked the beginning of a new phase in Byzantine history. After decades of crisis, the empire had survived, but it was still weakened. Its territory was smaller, and many of its richest provinces had been lost to foreign powers. Yet the core of the empire remained intact. Constantinople still stood as one of the greatest cities in the world. Its massive walls had held against repeated invasions, and its position between Europe and Asia continued to make it a center of trade and imperial power. At the same time, the empire was stabilizing internally. The long conflict over icons was finally coming to an end. The divisions that had shaped Byzantine society for generations were slowly fading, allowing the state to restore order and focus on rebuilding its foundations. For the first time in decades, the empire was no longer only reacting to crisis. It was beginning to regain confidence, preparing for a period of recovery and expansion that would transform Byzantium into one of the strongest states in the medieval world. In the middle of the 9th century, a new figure rose to power in Constantinople. His name was Basil. Unlike most Byzantine rulers, he did not come from an ancient noble family. His origins were humble, and his early life was shaped by hardship and ambition. Basil entered the imperial court through a combination of talent, opportunity, and political instinct. He gained the trust of Emperor Michael III and quickly rose through the ranks. In a world defined by intrigue and shifting alliances, he proved himself capable of navigating the dangerous environment of imperial politics. In 867, the balance of power shifted dramatically. Basil moved against the emperor who had raised him. Michael III was assassinated, and Basil was crowned as the new ruler of the Byzantine Empire, marking the beginning of a new dynasty. With Basil's rise, a new chapter began. The empire now had a ruler determined to restore stability and strengthen the state. His reign would lay the foundations for a period of recovery that would transform Byzantium in the decades to come. Under Basil's rule, the Byzantine state began to rebuild its internal structure. The administration, weakened by years of crisis, was reorganized and strengthened. Officials were expected to enforce imperial authority more effectively, restoring order across provinces that had long suffered from instability. At the same time, the emperor focused on tightening control over regional power. Local elites who had grown strong during earlier periods of chaos were brought back under imperial supervision. The state reasserted its influence, ensuring that authority once again flowed from Constantinople. Economic stability also began to return. Trade routes became more secure, and agricultural production slowly recovered. With fewer internal disruptions, the empire was able to collect revenue more consistently, providing the resources needed to support both administration and the military. Step by step, the system began to function again. The Byzantine Empire was no longer struggling simply to survive. It was rebuilding its foundations, preparing for a period in which strength, order, and confidence would define its future direction. Constantinople once again stood at the center of a growing empire. Its massive walls protected not only the city, but the wealth and stability that had returned within them. Markets were active, ships filled the harbors, and goods from across the Mediterranean flowed into the imperial capital. The city became a symbol of recovery. After decades of crisis, Constantinople was no longer a place on the edge of survival. It projected confidence, order, and control, reflecting the strength that the empire was rebuilding beyond its walls. With stability restored, the empire could begin to think beyond defense. Resources were no longer spent only on survival. Instead, they could be directed towards strengthening the army, securing borders, and preparing for future campaigns that would expand imperial influence once again. By the end of Basil's reign, Byzantium had changed. It was no longer an empire reacting to threats. It was becoming one that could shape events around it, ready to move from recovery to expansion and to redefine its place in the medieval world. With stability restored, the empire began to move beyond defense. The Byzantine army, reorganized and strengthened, was no longer focused solely on protecting its borders. Instead, it started to push outward, testing the strength of its enemies and reclaiming lost ground step by step. Early campaigns brought cautious but important successes. Frontier regions that had once been vulnerable were reinforced, and key strongholds were retaken. These victories were not yet dramatic, but they signaled a clear shift. The empire was no longer retreating. Military leadership played a crucial role in this transformation. Experienced generals coordinated operations across multiple fronts, ensuring that advances were supported and sustainable. Strategy replaced desperation, and the empire's armies began to operate with renewed confidence and discipline. For the first time in generations, momentum had changed direction. The Byzantine Empire was no longer losing territory. It was beginning to reclaim it. These early offensives marked the start of a new phase, one that would reshape the balance of power in the region. As the offensives continued, Byzantine forces began to achieve more decisive victories. Campaigns pushed deeper into contested territories, especially along the eastern frontier. Regions that had long been under pressure, including parts of Syria and Mesopotamia, became active zones of imperial advance. These victories were not just symbolic. Key cities and fortresses were captured or brought back under Byzantine control. Each success strengthened the empire's defensive lines, while also extending its reach into areas that had once seemed permanently lost. Control of the frontier began to shift. Instead of reacting to raids and invasions, Byzantine forces dictated the pace of conflict. Strategic positions were secured, supply lines stabilized, and the empire started to shape the battlefield to its advantage. This expansion changed the balance of power in the region. The Byzantine Empire was no longer seen as a weakened state recovering from crisis. It was emerging as a force capable of reclaiming influence and challenging its rivals beyond its traditional borders. Behind these victories stood a transformed military. The Byzantine army was no longer a force reacting in desperation. It had become more organized, disciplined, and capable of executing coordinated campaigns across different regions of the empire. Reforms improved both structure and efficiency. Units were better supplied, command was more clearly defined, and communication between forces allowed for more complex operations. This made it possible to sustain longer campaigns without losing control of the battlefield. Training and experience also played a key role. Soldiers were no longer just defenders of the frontier. They were becoming professional warriors, capable of adapting to different enemies and fighting conditions, from fortified cities to open terrain. As a result, the army gained something it had lacked for decades. Confidence returned. Victories were no longer rare moments of survival. They became part of a growing pattern, reinforcing the empire's ability to project power beyond its borders. By the later years of Basil's reign, Byzantine offensives reached their peak. Campaigns were no longer limited or cautious. The empire now operated with confidence, launching coordinated advances that pushed deep into enemy territory and forced its rivals onto the defensive. Victories began to accumulate across multiple fronts. Strongholds fell, borders expanded, and the empire's presence became increasingly dominant in contested regions. What had once been fragile gains now formed a stable and expanding frontier. The psychological impact was just as important as the military success. Enemies who had once seen Byzantium as weak were now forced to reconsider. The empire had regained its reputation as a powerful and resilient force, capable of sustained and effective warfare. By the end of this phase, the balance had clearly shifted. The Byzantine Empire was no longer recovering. It was dominating. Its enemies were no longer dictating the pace of conflict, and a new era of strength was beginning to take shape. Despite its growing strength, Byzantium still faced a powerful rival. In the Balkans, the Bulgarian Empire had re-emerged as a major force. Under the leadership of Tsar Samuel, it expanded its influence and directly challenged Byzantine control in the region. Samuel proved to be a determined and capable opponent. He led campaigns deep into Byzantine territory, capturing key positions and threatening imperial authority across the Balkans. His forces were mobile, aggressive, and difficult to contain. For Byzantium, this was not just another frontier conflict. The struggle against Bulgaria became one of the defining challenges of the era. Control of the Balkans was crucial, and losing it would undermine everything the empire had rebuilt. As the conflict intensified, a new phase began. The empire that had regained its strength now faced a true test. The outcome of this struggle would determine whether Byzantine power could continue to rise or once again be pushed back. The conflict between Byzantium and Bulgaria turned into a long and exhausting war. Neither side could secure a quick victory. Campaigns stretched across years, with shifting front lines and repeated clashes that drained both armies and tested their endurance. Battles were fought across difficult terrain. Mountains, narrow passes, and fortified positions made every advance slow and costly. Armies had to adapt constantly, navigating harsh conditions while trying to outmaneuver the enemy. Samuel's forces continued to resist with determination. They launched counterattacks, retreated when necessary, and avoided decisive defeat. This kept the war alive and prevented Byzantium from achieving a clear and immediate victory. But over time, the nature of the conflict began to change. The empire's resources, organization, and persistence started to make a difference. What had begun as a struggle for control was slowly turning into a war of endurance. After years of exhausting war, a decisive moment finally came. Byzantine forces launched a major campaign aimed at breaking Bulgarian resistance once and for all. This time, the objective was not just to push back the enemy, but to destroy its ability to continue the fight. The confrontation ended in a devastating defeat for Bulgaria. Byzantine strategy and coordination proved superior, overwhelming Samuel's forces and leaving them unable to recover. The scale of the loss marked a turning point in the entire conflict. The aftermath was just as dramatic. According to later accounts, thousands of captured soldiers were blinded and sent back to Samuel. When he saw his defeated army, the shock is said to have broken him, and he died shortly afterward. With this, the balance of power collapsed. Bulgarian resistance weakened rapidly, and Byzantium moved closer to complete control of the Balkans. The long war had finally reached its end, and the empire had emerged victorious. With the defeat of Bulgaria, Byzantium reached a new height of power. Its borders were secure, its enemies weakened, and its authority extended across vast territories. For the first time in generations, the empire stood not in recovery, but in clear dominance. Control of the Balkans was firmly re-established. Regions that had once resisted imperial rule were now brought back under Byzantine authority. This strengthened the empire's position in Europe and secured one of its most important strategic frontiers. The empire also projected power beyond its borders. Its influence could be felt across neighboring regions, shaping political decisions and reinforcing its status as one of the most powerful states of the medieval world. At this moment, Byzantium seemed unstoppable. After decades of rebuilding and war, it had achieved stability, strength, and prestige. The empire had not only survived, it had risen to a position few could challenge. Yet beneath this dominance, the cost of success was becoming clear. Years of continuous warfare had placed a heavy strain on the empire. Even as victories accumulated, the resources required to sustain them were immense and difficult to maintain over time. The military, though powerful, was stretched across multiple fronts. Maintaining control over newly secured territories required constant presence. Garrisons, supply lines, and defensive systems all demanded attention, tying the empire to a state of ongoing commitment. Internal pressures also began to emerge. The growing power of military elites and regional figures created new tensions within the state. As the empire expanded, balancing authority between the center and its commanders became increasingly complex. These challenges were not yet visible as a crisis, but they were forming beneath the surface. The empire had reached its peak, and like many before it, that peak carried the seeds of future instability. The reign of Basil left a powerful legacy. He had restored the strength of the Byzantine Empire, expanded its borders, and re-established its authority across key regions. His achievements marked one of the most successful periods in the empire's history. But empires are never defined by a single moment. What had been built through decades of effort would now have to be maintained. The systems, victories, and structures created during this era would face new pressures in the years to come. Future rulers would inherit both strength and challenge. They would control a powerful empire, but also one that required constant attention to remain stable. The balance between expansion, control, and internal stability would become increasingly difficult to manage. And so, the story does not end here. The Byzantine Empire stood at its peak, but history would soon test whether it could hold that position, or whether new forces would begin to reshape its destiny once again. The empire had risen again, stronger than it had been in generations. Its armies were victorious, its borders secure, its power undeniable. For a moment, it seemed that Byzantium had reclaimed its place at the center of the world. But history never stands still. New challenges were already beginning to emerge. From within the empire, and beyond its borders, what had been rebuilt through strength and conquest would soon be tested once again, and the forces that had restored the empire would begin to pull it apart, because the next chapter would not be about survival. It would be about power and the struggle to control it.